It is live now, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you. So, we see in the second canto, first two cantos itself, which explains about Srimad Bhagavatam, the origin of Srimad Bhagavatam. And in second canto, 10th chapter, first sloka, wherein Sukdev Goswami says, At sargo visargasya sthanam poshnam utaya manvantareshanu katha nirodho mukti asraya. So this is how the Srimad Bhagavatam is distributed. So there are 10 divisions of Srimad Bhagavatam, which contains creation of the universe, sub-creation, planetary systems, protection by Lord, creative impetus, change of Manus, signs of God, returning home back to Godhead, liberation, and Samambhona. So this is how entire Srimad Bhagavatam is divided. And in the first two cantos, we see that how it speaks about Bhakti Yoga. It tells about Lord Krishna's as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. The very first sloka, it establishes Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then it contains various wonderful prayers by devotees. Kunti Maharani doing wonderful prayers. Bhishma Dev doing wonderful prayers in the first canto. And then we see that how Parikshit Maharaj born, protected by Lord Krishna. And then when Parikshit Maharaj starts ruling, then in a later stage we see that how Parikshit Maharaj chastises Kali. So that's how the first canto proceeds. And then the second canto talks about the creation or sub-creation, in which we come to hear about Brahma, we come to hear about material universes, we come to hear about Sukadeva Goswami. We come to even hear about Vyasadeva, how he was dissatisfied, how Narad Muni asked him to compile Srimad Bhagavatam. All these are covered into the second canto. And the third canto, which contains this Sarga and Visarga component, which is described by Maitre Muni to Vidura. So he tells about that how the creation of universe happens, how the sub-creation happens, what was the role of Brahma. And then at a later stage, the chapters which we just finished, it tells about Lord Kapil Dev, how he established the Sankhya philosophy. So in this way, the third canto, and that continuation is also here, because we are still talking about the lineage. We are still talking about the different ranges of topics which talk about Bhakti Yoga, Stanga Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and all. So those are getting covered here. Now in fourth canto, what all is covered, I'll just briefly go on to that, and then we will come to the sloka of the chapter. So basically, it is covering a few things. One is that it is covering about various how it's the first part contains about Manu's daughters and their lineage. Then it talks about Daksha Prajapati, how he dishonors Lord Shiva, and then how Sati sacrifices. So this is contained in first 7 chapters of this canto. From 8th chapter to 12th chapter, it talks about another son of Lord Brahma, which is called Adharma, and then it talks about the son of Swayambhu Manu Uttanpad and his dynasty, and which covers Dhruv Maharaj. So the Dhruv Maharaj pastimes comes in the 8th chapter to 12th chapter. Then from 13th chapter onwards, it talk about another kings, which is Anga, Vena, and Prithu Maharaj. So Prithu Maharaj, again, a very renowned incarnation rather. So we'll hear about the glorious activities of Prathu Maharaj in chapters 13 to 23. Then going forward from 24 to 31, which is the last part which covers Prachin Bhari and Prachetas. So we have heard that Prachin Bhari has 10 sons, Prachetas, and they were engaged into devotional services and how Narad Muni inspires them uh, to do the devotion service and to pray for achieving their ultimate goal of life. Lord Shiva was very much satisfied by their prayers. So that's how Prachetas got influenced by Narad Muni. So that all gets covered in the last 7-8 chapters of the canto. This is how the distribution of the entire fourth canto is. So today we are going to start from the genealogical table of the daughters of Manu, which is chapter 1. I'm just sharing the screen. Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 1st chapter, 1st shloka. Maitreya Vacha Manostu Satarupayam Tisraha Kanyascha Cha Jaggire Akoti Devahutischa Prasutiriti Shrutah Vishrutah. Maitreya Vacha Manostu Satarupayam Tisraha Kanyascha Jaggire Akuti Devahutischa Prasutiriti Vishrutah. Maitreya Vacha Manostu Satarupayam Tisraha Kanyascha Jaggire Akuti Devahutischa Prasutir iti Vishrutah. Synonyms, translation, and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Synonyms. Maitreya Vacha. The great sage Maitreya said, Mano too, of Swayambhav Manu, Satarupayam, in his wife Satarupa, Tisra 3, Kanya cha, daughters also, Jagire gave birth, Akuti named Akuti, Devahuti named Devahuti, cha also, Prasuti named Prasuti, Iti thus Vishrutaha well known. Translation and purport by Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Maitreya said, Swayambhav Manu begot 3 daughters in his wife, Satarupa, and their names were Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti. Purport. First of all, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Pada Prabhupada, by whose order I am engaged in this Herculean task of writing commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam as the Bhaktivedanta purpose. By His grace, we have finished 3 cantos already, and we are just trying to begin the 4th canto. By His divine grace, let us offer our respectable obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya, who began this Krishna conscious movement of Bhagavatam 500 years ago. And through His grace, let us offer our obeisances to the 6 Goswamis, and then let us offer our obeisances to Radha and Krishna, a spiritual couple who enjoys eternally in Vrindavan with their cowherd boys and damsels in Brajabhumi. Let us also offer our respectful obeisances to all the devotees and eternal servitors of the Supreme Lord. So here we are seeing that how Srila Prabhupada is offering obeisances to his Guru Maharaj, Lord Chaitanya, to Shri Radha Krishna, and all the devotees and eternal servitors of Supreme Lord. In the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 31 chapters, and all these chapters describe the secondary creation by Brahma and Moses. The Supreme Lord himself does the real creation by agitating his material energy, and then by his order, Brahma, the first living creature in the universe, attempts to create the different planetary systems and their inhabitants, expanding the population through his progeny, like Manu and other progenitors of living entities who work perpetually under the order of the Supreme Lord. In the 1st chapter of this 4th canto, there are descriptions of the 3 daughters of Swayambhuva Manu and their descendants. The next 6 chapters describe the sacrifice performed by King Daksha and how it was spoiled. Thereafter, the activities of Maharaj Dhruv are described in 5 chapters. And in 11 chapters, the activities of King Prithu are described in the next 8 chapters are devoted to the activities of Pracheta's kings. As described in the first verse of this chapter, Swayambhu Manu had 3 daughters named Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti. Of these 3 daughters, one daughter, Devahuti, has already been described along with her husband Kardama Muni and her son Kapila Muni. In this chapter, the descendants of the first daughter, Akuti, will specifically be described. Swayambhu Manu was the son of Brahma. Brahma had many other sons, but Manu's name is specifically mentioned first because he was a great devotee of the Lord. In this verse, there is also the word Cha, indicating that besides the 3 daughters mentioned, Swayambhu Manu also had 2 sons. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Tachuramitamena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapad Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavancham Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sah Gan Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhuvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagandalita Shri Vishatan Vidamsha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Dinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschate Devashatarane Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prem Padahite Krishnai Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurat Vishay Namah He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namo Astute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhashikpa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna. So this is a very detailed chapter, and in which, if you will see, it describes the entire lineage, and that clearly explains about the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here in this chapter, in this first shloka itself, it is being told that Maitreya Muni is continuing, and Maitreya Muni is telling Vidura that Swayambhu Manu was having 3 daughters, namely Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti. We have heard about Devahuti. Now, in this particular chapter, we will be mainly hearing about the lineage of Akuti, and also at a later stage about, so we know that Devahuti has 9 daughters and 1 son. So the conversation between Kapil Muni and Devahuti we have heard, but we haven't heard about the 9 daughters. So the lineage of the 9 daughters will also come in later chapters. I'll just give you a brief about them, or what we can do, because this is simple lineage. So better to hear and understand from the slokas directly that how this lineage is going, and then I will touch on some important points. So rather, so let's go by the shlokas itself. So I'll be sharing the shlokas directly on the screen. Okay, let me take it. You are seeing the screen, right? So the second shloka says that Akuti had 2 brothers, but in spite of her brothers, King Swayambhu Manu handed over to Prajapati Ruchi on the condition that the son born of her to be returned to Manu as his son. This he did in consultation with his wife Satarupa. So Prabhupada writes in his purport also later that sometimes a sonless person offers his daughter to a husband on the condition that his grandson be returned to him as to be adopted as his son and inherit his property. This is called Putrika Dharma. However, Swambhu Manu was having two sons, but despite of having two sons, what has happened? That while giving hand of Akuti to Prajapati Ruchi, he took a promise from them that if we got any son, then that son will be given back to Swayambhuva Manu. And why it was so? Because Swayambhuva Manu knew that the son which is going to get from Akuti will none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So because he was aware of this, so he asked that as when Akuti and Prajapati got married and they will have son, so that son will be returned to Swambhu Manu. So Prajapati agreed to it. However, King Swambhu Manu was not having full trust in it. But fortunately enough, what happened? That Akuti gave birth to two children, one boy and one girl. And then Prajapati Ruchi was not hesitated, didn't hesitate to give his son to Swambhu Manu as was promised. So that is how Swambhu Manu got that son. And the name of two children was it is Yagya and Dakshina. Yagya was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the daughter Dakshina was the incarnation of Lakshmi. The Prabhupada writes, sometimes a sonless person, okay, we read this. This is called Putrika Dharma, which means that by execution of religious rituals, one gets a son, although one is sonless by his own wife. But here we see extraordinary behavior in Manu, for in spite of having two sons, he handed over his first daughter to Prajapati Ruchi on the condition that the son born of his daughter be returned to him as his son. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments in this connection that King Manu knew that the Supreme Personality of Godhead would take birth in the womb of Akuti. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary writes that because King Manu knew that the Lord was going to take birth from the womb of Akuti, therefore he wanted that child to be served by himself. So that's why he got this marriage done basis this promise. He wanted the particular son born of Akuti because he was ambitious to have Supreme Personality of Godhead appear as his son and grandson. Manu is the lawgiver of mankind, and since he personally executed the Putrika Dharma, we may accept that such a system may be adopted by mankind also. So it is not wrong if one wants to accept his daughter's son as his own son. So that is allowed by Manu. Thus, even though one has a son, if one wants to have a particular son from one's daughter, one may give one's daughter in charity on that condition. This is the opinion of Srila Jiva Goswami. So there will be few more things which will be coming in later stages, which will certainly be confusing from our material sense perspective. But this is how things happen, and we have to accept that, and we have to understand the essence of it. So the Ruchi, who was very powerful in his Brahminical qualifications, was appointed one of the progenitors of the living entities. We got one son and one daughter by his wife. So two childs were born, as I told you. So two childs were born, and the word Brahma Varchasavi is very significant. Prabhupada writes, because Ruchi was a Brahmana, and he executed the Brahminical duties very rigidly. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Brahminical qualifications are control of senses, control of mind, cleanliness within. So Ruchi was having all the properties which a Brahmana should have. So, what are the qualities of Brahmana which is given in Bhagavad Gita? He should have control of senses, control of mind, cleanliness within and without, development of spiritual and material knowledge, simplicity, truthfulness, faith in Supreme Personality of Godhead, etc. There are many qualities which indicate a Brahminical personality, and it is understood that Ruchi followed all the Brahminical principles rigidly. That's why in the shloka, Prajapati so Bhagavan Ruchistasyam Ajijanat Mitunam Brahma Varchasvi Paramena Samadhina. So the importance of Ruchi has been shown here. Thus, in the Bhagavatam, we find that Mahabharata was specifically compiled by Vyasadeva for Stri, Sudra, Brahma Bandhu. Stri means woman, Sudra means lower class of civilized society, and Brahma Bandhu means person who are born in the families of Brahmanas but do not follow the rules and regulations carefully. All these three classes are called less intelligent. They have no access to the study of Vedas, which are specifically meant for persons who have acquired the Brahminical qualifications. This restriction is based upon not based upon any sectarian distinction, but upon qualification. The Vedic literatures cannot be understood unless one has developed the Brahminical qualification. So to understand the scriptures, these are the qualities which are must one should have. And even so, what here is refers to that it is not based upon any sectarian distinction, but it is basically based on the qualifications. So one should have qualifications, and that may be anybody. It can be a Stri, it can be Sudra, it can be Brahma. But if they are having this qualification, then they will be able to understand Vedic literatures. So it is regrettable, therefore, that the persons who have no Brahminical qualifications and have never been trained under a bona fide spiritual master, nevertheless, comment on Vedic literatures like Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. For such persons cannot deliver their real message. So, Prabhupada many times have said this, that one should not hear these what do you call Srimad Bhagavatam or the explanations or the Bhagavad Katha, 7 days Katha or other things by a person who is speaking them for earning. So he should be a Brahman, he should be a Vaishnava, and we should hear from them only. Otherwise, this knowledge of Veda cannot be understood. It will be simply like a milk which has been touched by a snake. It's poisonous to hear from them. He gives a message very clearly that we should be very cautious and we should only hear such Vedic literatures from a bona fide person who is coming from a parampara. So Ruchi was considered a first-class Brahmana, therefore he is mentioned here as Brahma Varchasvi, one who had full prowess in Brahminical strength. So who were those two sons? Here it is given. Of the two children born of Prakriti, the male child was directly an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what was his name? His name was Yagya, which is another name of Lord Vishnu. So that is how this comes into picture, that we say that Yagya is for Vishnu. So this is where it comes from. So he came out as Yagna, and the female child was a partial incarnation of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, the eternal consort of Lord Vishnu. So these two out of these two child, Yagya was taken back by Swayambhuva Manu. And Swayambhuva Manu was initially not very sure of it, but because, as explained earlier, that Prajapati Ruchi was a pure Brahman, and he has all the Brahminical qualifications. So as he has promised that, and he was having the truthfulness, so he agreed to that, and he gave his son to Swayambhu Manu. It comes here later. Swayambhu Manu very gladly brought home the beautiful boy named Yagya, and Ruchi, his son-in-law, kept with him the daughter Dakshina. I'm not going in the purports here because I'm just talking about the lineage, and this is what you have to understand here. Tam kamyanam bhagvanuvaha yujam pati kunchayam to shamapanno ajanayat dvadashatmajan. It talks about the Lord, the ritualistic performance of Yagya later married Dakshina. So this is one more point which may confuse us. That actually, if you see, Akuti has two children, Yagya and Dakshina, and it appears as if Yagya and Dakshina are brothers and sisters. But here it is written, the Lord of ritualistic performance of Yagya later married Dakshina, who was anxious to have the personality of Godhead as her husband. And in this wise, the Lord was also very much pleased to beget 12 children. So it is being said that although Yagya and Dakshina appeared from Akuti simultaneously, but since they are Lord Vishnu and Mata Lakshmi, his eternal consort, so they are beyond this material creation, and therefore their eternal relationship cannot be changed. So there are reasons why such things are happening. Why Swayambhu Manu took Yagya from Akuti. This is all Lord's plan, so that later Yagya could marry Dakshina. And from them, 12 children were born. And those 12 children were later on called as the demigods in that age, right? And they were known by the name of Tushitas. Tushitas. So what the names of 12 boys which were born of Yagya and Dakshina were named as Tosha, Pratosha, Santosha, Bhadra, Shanti, Idaspati, Idma, Kavi, Vibhu, Swahana, Sudeva, and Rochan. So these are the 12 names, and all combined, they were called as Tushitas. It is here mentioned here. Tushita namate deva asan swayambhuvantare marichi mishra rishayo yagya surganeshwara. So it is being told that in every age of Manu, there are 6 different type of what do you call presidings which stay, and all those are here. During the time of Swayambhu Manu, these sons all became the demigods, collectively named the Tusitas. Marichi became the head of 7 rishis, and Yagya became the king of demigods, Indra. So Indra is a post, and that was taken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Yagya, right? In Srimad Bhagavatam, I will just flash that also. In Srimad Bhagavatam, if you can see my screen, this Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, 7th chapter, 15th verse says, Manvantaram Manurdeva Manuputra Sureshwaraha Rishayo Amsavataraschya Hare Shad Vidamuchyate. So there are these 6 types of personalities which appear in every reign of Manu. In every kingdom of Manu, these are the 6 type of personalities which happen. One is ruling Manu, so that was Swayambhu Manu. The chief demigods, the chief demigod, the son of Manus. So sons of Manus were in this Swayambhu Manu was Uttanpad and Priyavrata. So these were the 2 sons. We will later hear about their pastimes. So Uttanpad and Priyavrata were the two sons of Manu. Then it is said Indra. So this Indra, the position of Indra was taken by Lord Yagya. You know? The great sages. Huh? The great sages are who? Maitreya, Atri, Vashisht and all. So those were the great sages. And the partial incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is called Amsh Avatara. So Yagya is also called the Amsh Avatar. So this is coming from Srimad Bhagavatam 12th canto, 7th chapter, where it is declared that in every reign of Manu, what happens? That we have 6 types of people which remain. So here also, during the time of Swayambhu Manu, these sons all became the demigods collectively named Tushitas. Then Marichi became the head of 7 rishis, and Yagya became the king of demigods, Indra. Okay. Prabhupada writes here the same thing. These 6 kind of living entities are known as Manu, Devas, Manuputras, Amsavatar, Sureshwaras, and Rishis. Okay. Yagya, being the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, became the leaders of the demigods, Indra. And then it tells about the 2 sons of Swayambhu Manu, which are Priyavrata and Uttanpad. And their sons and grandsons later spread all over the world. So this is how the lineage of Akuti went across, and the generations which came out from them, they spread in all the 3 worlds during that period. So that's how the expansion is taking place. And then later in the same chapter, now going forward, it talks about how Devahuti. So Devahuti was married to Kardama Muni. That is already we have heard. So my dear son, Swayambhu Manu handed over his very dear daughter Devahuti to Kardama Muni. I've already spoken to you about them, and you have heard about them almost in full. So how Kardama Muni got married to Devahuti, and then how Kapil Dev later established Sankhya philosophy, we have already seen in the 3rd canto. Then the 3rd daughter was Prasuti. It talks about Swayambhu Manu handed over his daughter Prasuti to son of Brahma named Daksha. So Daksha has another son, which is also known as the Prajapati. So he was Prajapati Daksha, who was also one of the progenitors of the living entities. The descendants of Daksha are spread throughout the 3 worlds. So similarly, like the progenitors of Uttanpad and Priyavrata, they all also scattered all across the 3 worlds. Similarly, the descendants of Daksha is also spread in the 3 worlds. So Prasuti was married to Daksha. And in the later stages, we will also hear in detail about their pastime. Now it tells about the 9 daughters of Kardama Muni. We already informed about the 9 daughters of Kardama Muni, who were handed over to 9 different sages. I shall now describe the descendants of those 9 daughters. Please hear from me. So they were handed over to various rishis. It is just a simple single liner, so I'm just reading them out. Kardama Muni's daughter Kala was married to Marichi, gave birth to 2 children whose names were Kashyap and Purnima. Their descendants are spread all over the world. Then Vidura, my dear Vidura, of 2 sons of Kashyap and Purnima, Purnima begot 3 children, namely Viraj, Vishwag, and Devakulya. Of these 3, Devakulya was the water which washed the lotus. Okay, the very important thing which is coming out here is that who was Ganga in his previous age. So it is Purnima's child, Devakulya, who was the lotus feet of personality of Godhead, and which later on transformed into the Ganges of the heavenly planet. Okay. So this is how Ganges, the earlier, so the two Prabhupada writes in the purport of the two sons, Kashyapa and Purnima. Here in Purnima, descendants are described. An elaborate description of these descendants will also be given in the 6th canto. It is also understood herein that Devakulya is the presiding deity of the river Ganges, which comes down from the heavenly planets to this planet and is accepted to be sanctified because it touched the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of God. So Ganges, before becoming Ganga Maya, was Devakulya, which was the daughter of Purnima. Then another daughter of Devahuti was Anusuya, the wife of Atri Muni. So Anusuya gave birth to Anusuya was married to Atri Muni, and Atri Muni gave birth to 3 sons. They were the partial incarnations of Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. Soma was
Shiva. Somvar.
No, Prabhu. Shiva was Durvasa.
Oh.
Dattatreya was Vishnu and Soma was Brahma. That's Soma was the incarnation of Lord Brahma. Dattatreya was Lord Vishnu and Durvasa was Lord Shiva. Yeah, it is written here. Soma was a partial incarnation of Lord Brahma. Dattatreya was a partial incarnation of Lord Vishnu, and Durvasa was a partial incarnation of Lord Shiva. It is already written here. I just saw. Right, so it is already mentioned here. So the Atri Muni has 3 sons. So this is how he got. And in later stage we will hear about them also, that how Atri Muni got them, because it was a very deep desire of Atri Muni to get Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh as his son. So because of that, they all appeared as his son. In this chapter only. Well, I'll not cover. Rather, it is coming in. Yeah, it is coming just after this shloka itself. Okay,
this is part of this.
Because it's such a detailed lineage, na?
Yeah.
I'll go through this purport and I'll stop here because the story of Atri Muni is completely different, and you should hear that in detail separately. So, in purport, Prabhupada writes, in this verse we find the word Atma Isha Brahma Sambhavan. Atma means super soul or Vishnu. Ish means Lord Shiva, and Brahma means the 4-headed Lord Brahma. The 3 sons born of Ansuya, Dattatreya, Durvasa, and the Som were born as partial representations of these 3 demigods. Atma is not in the category of the demigods or living entities because he is Vishnu. Therefore, he is described as Vivinnams Bhutanam. The super soul Vishnu is the seed-giving father of all living entities, including Brahma and Shiva, Lord Shiva. Another meaning of the word Atma may be accepted in this way: people who is the soul in every Atma.
Your voice is not coming from your voice.
Am I not audible?
Now it's audible.
Okay, might be some Wi-Fi issue. So in Bhagavad Gita, the individual souls are also described as part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or Super Soul. So why not accept that Dattatreya was one of those parts? Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are also described here as parts. So why not accept all of them as ordinary individual souls? The answer is that the manifestation of Vishnu, those of the ordinary living entities, are certainly all parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, and no one is equal to him. But among the parts and parcels, there are different categories. In the Varaha Purana, it is nicely explained that some of the parts are Swamsa and some are Vibhinnamsa. So Vibhinnamsa are called Jivas, and Swamsa part are in the Vishnu category. In the Jiva category, the Vibhinnamsa parts and parcels there are also gradations. That is explained in the Vishnu Puran, where it is clearly stated that the individual parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality, Supreme Lord, are subject to being covered by the external energy called illusion or Maya. So this is
15,
being talked about
15.7 above 15.7 will cover, no? Mamayvamsa Jiva Loke.
Yeah.
Krishna is telling.
Yes, we're right. Such individual parts and parcels who can travel to any part of the Lord creations are called Sarvagata and are suffering the pangs of material existence. They are proportionately freed from the coverings of ignorance under material existence according to different level of work and under different influences of the modes of material nature. For example, the suffering of jivas situated in the mode of goodness are less than those of jivas situated in the mode of ignorance. Pure Krishna consciousness, however, is the birthright of all the living entities, because every living entity is part and parcel of Lord. The consciousness of the Lord is also in the part and parcel, and according to the proportion to which that consciousness is cleared of material dirt, the living entities are differently situated. In the Vedanta Sutra, the living entities of the different gradations are compared to candles or lamps with a different candle power. For example, some electric bulb have the power of 1000 candles, some of the power of 500 candles, some the power of 100 candles, and some 50 candles, etc. But all electric bulbs have light. Light is present in every bulb, but the gradations of light are different. Similarly, there are gradations of Brahman. The Vishnu Swamsa expansion of the Supreme Lord in different Vishnu forms are like lamps. Lord Shiva is also like a lamp, and the supreme candle power or the 100% light is Krishna. The Vishnu Tattva has 94%, the Shiva Tattva has 84%, and Lord Brahma has 78%. And the living entities are also like Brahma, but in conditioned state, their power is still more dim. There are gradations of Brahman, and no one can deny this fact. Therefore, the words Atnesha Brahma Sambhavan indicate that the Tattreya was directly part and parcel of Vishnu, whereas Durvasa and Som were part and parcel of Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. So that's how Prabhupada is explaining in detail that what is the difference between the Jiva, various types of Jiva, Vibhinansa and Swams. So Swams is Vishnu himself, whereas, or his incarnations, whereas Vibhinans are the Jiva entities, right? And Prabhupada here explains that it's only who has got 100%, right? It is Krishna. And then Vishnu Tattvas, the incarnations of Lord Krishna, has 94%, Shiva Tattva has 84%, and Lord Brahma has 78%. So the living entities, because they also come in the Jiva category, that is Brahma, so they can go up to 78%. But it is much lower than that. Somewhere I heard it is in the range of 50 to 56%. Prabhuji, correct me if I am wrong anywhere, because this is what I have heard, that the Jivas are in the range of 56%. So there are gradations of Brahman, and no one can deny this fact. Therefore, the word Atnesha Brahma Sambhavan indicate, because there can be various questions which can arise, that how are you considering the Tattreya as Vishnu, Durvasa as Lord Shiva, and Soma as Lord Brahma. So the scriptures themselves describe that how we need to consider them and how we can understand. So 16th shloka onward, I think in the next 15, 16 shlokas, there comes the pastimes of Atri Muni, and that how, because Vidura asked the question, interesting question which Vidura has asked. After hearing this, Vidura inquired from Maitreya, "My dear master, how is that the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, who are the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of the whole creation, became the offspring of the wife of Atri Muni?" So that is being now explained going forward. So I'll just stop here. I don't think that anybody will be having any question, but if somebody has any question, then we can discuss that.
I missed in the beginning, Prabhu. First, I was in the temple. I could not open the
So,
mobile.
Prabhuji, I just told about that what is covered in first canto, second canto, third canto, and now we are in fourth
Oh,
canto, right? So that is the basic thing which I covered. And then this fourth, what
so
are what?
first canto, third canto, the creation starts and all the
Yeah.
Brahmas. And the
Yes.
first and second canto, what about Supreme Personality, It was
So
about
in
the
the first canto, the very first sloka establishes the
Janmadhyasya.
Personality. Yeah, Janmadhyasya. Janmadhyasya to Anvayat Atirasthartheshu Abhigeswarat Teno Brahma
Brahma Mukhyanti Surya,
Tejo
Tejo
Vahini
Vagini,
Yatra
Dhamma Svena,
Sada Nirasta
Sada Satyam
Param Dhimai. So this is established here that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then pastimes of Lord Krishna, various prayers by Kunti Maharani and then Bhishma, right? And then it also talks about how Krishna left this, he ended his pastime here. It talks about how he saved Parikshit Maharaj, and then the rule of Parikshit Maharaj and how he treats Kali. So all those things are described as part of first canto. So it talks of the topmost spiritual path of the Bhakti Yoga. It talks about Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It talks about wonderful prayers. And then it also talks about that how Srimad Bhagavatam has appeared as Grantha Avatar. It's not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then in the second canto, it talks about Brahma's, how Brahma it talks about the first incarnations of Lord as Mahavishnu, Karnodakshai Vishnu.
The 25 incarnations, all the 25 incarnations they tell Narada Muni and everything, or no?
Yes, exactly, right. So it talks about Brahma, Narad, Vyasdev, Sukhdev Goswami and all. And it talks about how Srimad Bhagavatam came into picture. It talks about Chatushloki Bhagavatam also. So that all is covered in the first two cantos. And then the third and the fourth
second canto, 10 chapter is most important, 10 chapter. It's having the complete juice.
Exactly, you are right. Because in that chapter only, it talks about the main thing. That it starts with the very important verse, which I even read earlier. So, Sri Shuko Vacha, Atra Sargo Visargascha, Sthanam Poshanam Utayah, Manmantaresha Anukatha Nirodo, Muktirashraya. This is what Sukdev Goswami tells that what Srimad Bhagavatam covers, the 10 divisions of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, the third and the fourth canto predominantly discuss about Sarga and Visarga. So, we have heard what Maitreya Muni has explained to Vidura, and then it covers the pastimes of Kardama Muni and Devavati Mata, how they got married, and then how Kapil Muni, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, established the philosophy of Sankhya and reached his mother. And now in this canto, we will be going through various other things which will be covering. So the important aspect, like I just, from a summary point of view, I just told that it has got 4 divisions. In the first division, which is covering in the first to 7th chapter, it covers Manu's daughters, and then about Daksha's sacrifice and how that was spoiled, how Daksha was punished. Then it covers in the second part about Dhruv Maharaj, which is from 8th chapter to 12th chapter. Then going forward, it covers about Anga, Vena, and Prithu Maharaj, and 13th chapter to 23rd chapter, 11 chapters. And then from 24th chapter to 31st chapter, it covers Prachin Bari and Prachatas. So it's a very important verse, a very important canto, covering various aspects of the pure devotional service and pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj is the most important pastime in this fourth canto. So that is what is being covered here.
And Dhruva Maharaj's instructions all will be very, very good.
Yeah, obviously.
Krishna will ask him, what do you want? He'll say, no, I was thinking, but I don't want glass piece. Your diamond has come, why should I go for glass piece? Even liberation will say, it's just a broken glass piece. Nothing, he said, you came, you want the kingdom of your father. I'm feeling very shameful to ask all these things. Because first of all, he was not having gyan. He was a small boy. And then he was not knowing what to tell. Then he put with the shank. When he touched him, immediately full knowledge came. With the bhakti, the knowledge came. And then vairagya. He didn't want. Whatever he prayed, he didn't want now. He said, no, don't make me. Yeah. That will come nicely in the fourth canto.
Very nice canto.
Actually, Dhruva wanted to kill his stepmother and stepbrother and all. But after the shank was touched, he became friendly. So the Vairagya had come. Yes, Prabhu, we can continue. Prabhu.
It's okay, Prabhu. It's over. So I just ended at Sloka 15. From next time onwards, it is Sloka 16, which you have to start with.
So now the dynasty is over now or still continuing?
No, it is still continuing. It is a full chapter which talks about various other people which are going to come. So I have just spoken about one daughter, and the second daughter I am just discussing. So Atri Muni and how these three incarnations took birth. It will come there, and then it will explain about all other 9 daughters and rishis, and it will talk about their children also.
Oh.
It's a very, very vast genealogy.
So how many verses are there in the first chapter?
I have to see. Just let me know. 66 verse, Prabhu.
All genealogy complete.
Yeah, it's a detail. It's completely.
So there's no Dhruva coming now. It's only next chapter.
Dhruva will come from 4th chapter on.
4th chapter.
Yeah, it's first 3 chapters. No, not even 4th chapter, 8th chapter onwards. I think in the Daksh Prajapati, the Sati is getting into fire, leaving her body, and all those things.
Oh, after that only.
Yeah. So
there are, I think, the 4th kind of 31 chapters, I think. Only.
Yes. Yeah,
Dhruva Maharaj will come in 2024 only.
2020. But if you go in Ajit Prabhu's speed, then we make touch Dhruva Maharaj. Ajit Prabhu goes like a Rajdhani Express. Yesterday, 3rd kind of finished. Today, 4th.
Nothing like that. There are many.
But there's nothing to talk on this, no? The genealogy, what you talk?
Genealogy, we have to just go through that, understand, and just understand about Prabhupada in his various purpose, mentioning some important aspects of understanding, right? Like what should be the behavior of a Brahman, or how when we can understand. So there's a term being used for Prajapati Ruchi. So Shambhu Muni was not sure that whether he is going to get back Yajna as his son, which he wanted. But because Prajapati Ruchi was a true Brahmana, he has all the Brahmanical qualities, so he cannot cheat. He was a truthful person. So whatever he has committed, he just promised, fulfilled his promise. He
Hmm.
gave his son to Swayambhu Manu.
But Yajna is Vishnu only, no, actually.
Yes, Vishnu only. Vishnu only. Vishnu.
There is no katha in this. Just you have to genealogy, keep on reading. And
Prabhu, Hare Krishna, one question, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
This yajna is the same yajna purusha when we do for sacrifices.
Pardon, Prabhu?
When we go for any sacrifices, then we call Vishnu is the yajna purusha. We see, no?
Yeah, that is same. So,
Yajna.
yeah, this is the Yajna incarnation only. Yes, Prabhu, you're right. This is that Yajna incarnation.
Okay, so this yajna is the yajna purusha of all sacrifices,
Yes,
and
yes.
then
yes.
the dakshina is
Dakshina is incarnation of Lakshmi Mata.
so dakshina is Lakshmi. Oh my God, so connected.
And they got married. So if you see from a material angle, one can question
They're
that how
siblings.
brother and sister can get married, right?
Yeah.
But
So that happened prior before also. They're also siblings. No?
pardon, Prabhu?
There are, sorry, Prabhu, I am walking on the streets. That's it.
No
Prabhu,
problem.
I'm saying this happened before also, no? Swayambhu Manu and Shakarupa also both are siblings.
Yes. Because they, at that time there were no living
Other
in
lineage.
Yes, other lineage. So they have to marry
Yeah.
among themselves only to proceed further.
Like Adam and Eve. No other way.
Yes. Shukra Prabhu, you are on mute.
And they were the Swayambhu Manu were same father, no, Brahma's children only, no. But they had to marry.
Yeah. See, Prabhu, in the Sharjah streets, I'm walking. It's
very good. Amazing.
And
Prabhu.
in front of police only, there is police always. He smiles when I go every day walking.
Oh.
This building I don't remember. This
No,
building
now,
I remember.
No, Prabhu, this is Abu Shagara.
Oh, new. Oh.
No, sorry, not Abu Shagara. This one, Al Nahda Park, Al Nahda.
Al Nahda. I think these are all new, I think, new buildings.
All are new, Prabhu. This area all completely new. Yes, after the treatment, they said 1 hour you have to go for brisk walking every day. So, I'm doing that.
1 hour is too difficult.
No, it's okay, Prabhu. Never it's okay. 8 rounds without any disturbance. I can chant.
And too hot also.
No, it's okay, Prabhu.
You chant in the bead or in the clicker?
No, Prabhu. You can see the back?
Yes. Yeah.
But at least you can do it there. I don't think that in other countries they are allowed. It's very difficult.
So, what did you say, Prabhu?
In other countries of Middle East, it is difficult to even carry bead bag or chant in bead bag.
Where, Prabhu? In
Saudi
Bahrain,
Arabia.
Qatar?
In Saudi Arabia, in Qatar and all, you cannot do this.
These two only difficult. Bahrain, we do.
Bahrain, I know. Bahrain is completely different.
Bahrain, okay. Even Oman, to some extent, okay. Some
Oman,
areas,
okay.
But not too much.
But Sharjah also is not good actually. Sharjah also.
No, Prabhu, last year they declared the year of tolerance because other religious practices are allowed to practice.
Oh.
And as long as we are not disturbing others.
Obviously.
If there is no complaints, then okay.
Okay, Prabhu. Shall we end here?
Okay, Prabhu. Last one simple thing, Prabhu. Last my roommates always bring 40, 50 Bhagavad Gita when he is coming. Last time police confiscated and they opened the bag and had 40 books and lot of chanting bags, beads, all that. They said, you all take, I know what are these, and you can take. the books we are confiscating, it is got to go back. And then we thought it is, we all simply first what you'll think, this is a spiritual book, that's why they are not allowed it. And the police said it's not because of spiritual book. There is a publication law. If you bring lot of book, it has to come through some proper channel of a publication.
Okay.
You got it, bro? It's a publication law means there is a through a proper channel we can bring book, we can print book, all that.
Oh.
But that on that basis we are. Otherwise, you bring 5, 6 like that. Not bring this much.
It is like smuggling.
They say no, it's one book. If you're bringing in a bulk, then it is considered a breaching publication law, something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
When I came in charge, first time I bought a lot of Prabhupada's video. And then for video was a photo.
Can you see a police beat on the front?
Rameswar, we can stop the recording, please.
Oh, yeah. I have to do it, right? 1 second.